Hello there. Hello, people. Hello, friends. I'm going to do a Necro guide like I did before, a new one. I'm going to talk about some new stuff that I've been trying to do. I've been having so much fun, actually. It started with this new patch being not much fun at all, and it just gave me a little bit of an extra kick up the arse to try and do some different stuff with all of the builds and things that are now a little bit more viable because we're taking less damage. I switched it up. I was always a hard support Necro. I always played Pillar, I always played CC. Now I'm playing something a little bit different. And I want to talk about a little bit about it, why I'm doing it, and how it works, and all that sort of stuff, because it's super good. And I just feel like it's something that it's starting to be explored. I've seen a couple of people doing similar things to me. I started doing this, and I think I was one of very few people doing it. I know Toes was using corpse lands for a while, and I feel like he was doing it in a funny way. No disrespect, it was cool, we liked it, but I've just optimized it a little bit, and I've done something a little bit different with it, and I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to do Corpse Lance, but I felt like Corpse Lance was like a kind of res locked build where you could do it really well when you were strong, you had more health, you had more damage and stuff. It would be way more viable, but now that we've had damage reduction come in, it's more viable to like the little guys or like the smaller guys or lower res guys. And it's very viable for me. I'm cleaning up with this now. Like, this is my shit. Copyright, patent pending. Fucking, this is mine. This is the way that I like playing Necro now. I've switched it completely. I don't like the support CC thing as much, and I'll explain why. But this is really viable. It's really good, and it's really helpful. And it's still a support build. It's just a bit more damage heavy. And it's sick. Like, you can carry teams with it, you can support teams with it. I feel like the old support borrowed time sort of meta thing is it's good. It's still good. Like, I think for 2 to 3K guys and stuff like that, it's still really reliable and shouldn't be dismissed at all. But I think that for me, especially where I'm at with res, I'm at like nearly 5k now. I'm still not 5k, but I'm nearly 5k. But I'm getting placed into games, into BGs as like in a carry spot. Like, I'll be carrying a lot of the time, and I'll be carrying if no other high res players are on. I'll be placed as a carry into like Fady or like into San or into like Red Eric Liu or Talia or like any of these Chinese guys that play in the mornings and stuff like that. And the reason that I like this is because it works a little bit better both ways, in the way that I can do a little bit more damage and help to carry a team. And then I can also support hard carries in my team. Still the same way, still providing crowd control. I can also provide them attack speed now, which I'll go into. So it's really good as like an off support, like off carry kind of thing. Whereas playing crowd control or pillar or like hard CC is just still very good, but now that the damage feels nerfed because everyone else is taking 30% less damage, it's not quite enough. There's not quite enough in the CC build to carry a team the same way. Not if you're the main carry in the team. Like, you're still an enabler, like whatever way you look at it. If you're playing pillar or if you're playing hard CC, and you're only like teammates are like 2k guys, you can't enable 2k guys constantly to like beat up an 8k guy. It's just not going to work. And then you just sort of, you feel like a little bit more of a sitting duck. You then got borrowed time, you come back, you can't cleanse the curse because everyone's harder to kill and shit like that. It's just not. And also, borrowed time is now chewing up more health than it used to when you do come back and you are cursed. So it's just not as great for me. I don't find it to be as great for me. I'm not shitting on it. I'm not saying like you're an idiot if you're still doing it. It's still really good. It's still very good for low res. But this is a new way to play Necro for me that I can cater to two things. I can cater to carry, I can cater to support. And this is what it looks like. Here we go. Cool. So I'll start from top to bottom, and I'll give you the reason behind why I use each of these pieces and why it's good. Starting with the headpiece. This has replaced bone spikes. Must use this piece. This piece is really strong, super strong. It's got a long root, so when you pull up corpse lances, you're gonna root and immobilize enemies hit by lance 4 times for 4.8 seconds. There's lots of lances that pull out of a single corpse, so you are going to be able to root people quite consistently. It is very strong. People that are rooted take damage, additional damage when you've got things like damaged enemies suffering loss of control, when you've got like dot effects on them and stuff like that. So it's one of your only now sources of crowd control. So if you were to drop this helm and say take the other corpse lance helm that does like it has like a poison continual damage effect on the lances, you're losing like most of your CC. And because there's going to be corpses all over the place all the time, this is reliable CC and it's not worth missing. Like you have to have CC, especially because you're not going to be relying on mount bank to protect you a little bit more. This build is less forgiving than the crowd control build where you have quite a lot of damage mitigation in mount bank and you've got a lot of CC to protect yourself. You can stand behind pillars, you can mitigate damage that way. You've got mount bank on, you've got all that CC to stop people once you do sort of reposition, and you can actually stop them from attacking you. That's also like damage mitigation because you can crowd control them. This is one of the only sources of crowd control you have. You need to have it. You can't fucking lose it. Don't be an idiot. Take this helm. The chest, obviously, this is a must use. Wraith form generates corpses as you move, and it also the essence effect is that it reduces cooldown to Wraith form by 3.6 seconds. This you need to have. You can't really rely on anything else to make corpses for you. I've tried it with things like the wall of skeletal soldiers. There's new like bone wall variants of chests that drop heaps of corpses when people walk through them and stuff. This still works the best because mechanically, as you're playing, when you move and you position yourself and you're leaving corpses behind like where you are rather than on like a cast point, it works way better and way smoother to have the corpses like around the positions that you've moved from or to. Like this is just what you want to use. These Knockbroad skulls shoulders are very good. They give your allies attack speed and yourself attack speed. They give you 28.5% attack speed, which is super useful. And bone arm is really helpful because you need a little bit of damage mitigation. You're not going to have mount bank anymore, so you need a little bit of like white health where you can take it. It's just good to have just a little bit of added survivability, and the attack speed makes this build feel a lot smoother. Like you're going to be relying on banquet procs and stuff, so you're going to like if you can attack quickly, if you can like spam your autos, spam Soulfire's got a burn on it with this offhand. But like anything that you can do to increase your attack speed with this build and with all this shit happening at the same time is just very strong. So like this is what you want to use for your shoulders. Still proximal fears, still the best pants, still can't go past them. Obviously you're using Wraith form as a form of CC, so you've got Wraith form, you've got the root, but that's pretty much it. And it's still really, really good. A lot of people were thinking after the patch that the new Dark Curse pants that remove all buffs were like going to be the next big thing. They're kind of shit. They don't really work that well. They don't remove all buffs at all. It's just I don't know what the fuck they're thinking when they do these things. They're just, the pant description still says remove a buff, but like the description on the patch update said that it removes all buffs, and some of us have tried it. I've tried it and it just doesn't seem to work as intended. There's a couple of Necro items in the game that are just broken and don't work as intended. There's another offhand that's it's kitted to Corpse Lance that has been in the game for ages. I can't even remember what it's called, the 10 prong or something, 10 something. It pulls lances up and holds them beside you until you want to eject them, and then it sort of shoots them out like a shotgun, and it punches all the Corpse Lance damage into one big shot. That's been in the game for ages, and everyone avoided using that because it just like after you have like a timer on your Corpse Lance to eject the shot after you pull the lances up. But once that timer expires, the lances sort of get stuck and they don't eject, and then you can't rip new lances up and they just don't eject. So they're like, it fully just doesn't work. Like, it's the shittest item in the game. I think they might have fixed it because I've still played around with it in PvE and stuff like since a while ago when it wasn't working, and it might be working a bit better now. But it's just one of those dicey things where the coding in the game for however the fuck that's supposed to work just doesn't work. And also, there's another one. I'm on a rant now, but yeah, there's no mouth face with the bone spike extending shoulders that are supposed to make the range of bone spikes increased. That shit doesn't work together. It's the same range that you get with no mouth face and no range on the shoulders. It just doesn't extend the range at all. The only spikes that it extends the ranges on are the circular one and potentially like the vanilla spikes. So those shoulders don't work in combination with that headpiece. But yeah, we're using proximal fear for the pants because we need CC. We're dropping so much CC from pillar and all that sort of stuff. You need to have CC in the build. You're using Stroke of Midnight because Wraith Form is Wraith Form and it is the most valuable thing in a Necro kit. And you want to have an Awakened Gem in it. There's a thing right now where like people are sort of frothing on like this perma Wraith Form build where you've always got Wraith Form up and you can awaken 2 slots, have this awakened and then like another Wraith Form slot awakened, or you can have even awakened like chest piece with Wraith Form cooldown on it, and then you have like an awakened gem in it and the Wraith Form cooldown is even shorter. It's just like overkill in my opinion. You don't need to have perma Wraith Form. Like, you should be good enough at playing that you don't need perma Wraith Form. And what if you were permanently in Wraith Form, when would you cast your fucking skills, right? Like, just get off that shit. Get off that fucking dick. Like, you don't need perma Wraith Form. You just want Wraith Form cooldown to be short. You don't need it to be permanent. And I don't think Urge is the sort of overkill as well. It's really good, but like, you know, it's just beneficials and all that sort of stuff. It's good. You can be like shitting out more corpses, and there's more corpses and all this sort of stuff if you have a longer Wraith Form. But I just don't find it optimal, and to lose the six piece effect on Banquet is just like a shame. So no, we're not going to be using any of that shit. And it's this for the cooldown reduction to Wraith Form when you get attacked. So you'll reduce the cooldown 1.5 seconds at maximum. You have 3.6 per second Wraith Form cooldown just from the what do you call it? Essence Mastery, and then the cooldown from the gem itself. So it's very good to have rank 10 2-star in here, and the best choice in my opinion for this build. Fuck Mother's Lament. I don't really back it that hard. Like, I know it's really good, it's very good, but if it was between that and Pain Clasp, I'd go Pain Clasp because it's 24% unconditional. It's like the only condition is that enemies have to be suffering from continuous damage effect, and like, this is not just from you. This is from anyone in your party. As long as you're attacking something that's under a continual damage effect, which you'll have in your kit anyway, 24% damage, like flat, is just like, you know, no condition. And crit is really good and stuff, but like there's caps on crit anyway. So it is what it is. Like, this is just good, and I find that it works well. Spite Fator for the first offhand, because it's going to make your Soulfire burn, and you want that burn so that it actually interacts with your Banquet set. So Banquet set, obviously, when you apply continual damage effect to an enemy, you enter Poison Rage. The burn on Soulfire will cause you to enter Poison Rage. Just as a side note, Starfire Shard also has a burn on it, so it's going to scorch the ground for 2 seconds, burning enemies in the area, dealing 20% base damage every second. So bugger the damage, don't worry about the damage. Damage is good, but like the fact that this thing can actually burn things as well, it also procs Banquet. And I never had a Seeping Bile. I wanted a Seeping Bile because I knew Seeping Bile procced a poison or a continuous damage effect, and that's the only reason that I wanted it, to enable me to use Banquet. And before I had Starfire, or I realized what it did, I still wanted a Bile just for that added source of proccing the set. But yeah, this gem does it too. So you want that. And this is where the build gets a little bit saucy, or a little bit different. These 2 slots are like my flex slots that I'm doing something a bit different with. And I really like these 2 slots the way that they are. But first one, second main hand we're going to use is the No Rest, No Peace. This is the new main hand that gives allies and anyone in the area 38% increased attack speed for 3 seconds when a skeleton dies. And boy, they die. They die. They go down like a sack of shit. And they just, yeah, it's going to be good because you can actually throw a net of skeletons that are like smart cast conductors. Anything that's sort of shooting at you will auto aim the skeleton before it aims you. People will whiff skills on skeletons. They'll move to skeletons over moving to you. Monks will dash to them over dashing to you or your teammates. People will like die on the ground and respawn out of cheat death, and then they'll just be swarmed with skeletons, and they'll get sort of like animation locked and they can't move. Skeletons will walk towards people. People will kind of freak out a little bit and worry about the skeletons, and they'll move back. So they just counter pressure. They cause like, yeah, it's just oppressive. Like, it's oppressive. It just you feel like you're just kind of overwhelmed by the amount of shit on the screen, and skeletons just add to that. And when they die, they're going to buff all your allies and yourself 38% attack speed, which is really good. Did I skip slots? The bone armor is going to give everyone attack speed. You need the damage mitigation because you're not using mount bank. So anything that you can do to gain damage mitigation without mount bank is really, really needed. So this is really, really good. And it's going to give everyone attack speed as well. So you're permanently attacking really quickly. Like if you remember how Necro used to attack, in comparison to how it's attacking now or how I'm attacking. And this is for the whole duration that bone armor's up. I'm not going to stop attacking quickly until my bone armor drops. And look how quickly I'm casting my clones. So Echoing Shade's going to be popping off. I've got extra minions on the map. Just all this shit to smart cast too. There's a lot. And you can give those guys bone armor as well. So like, move your net. Like, yeah. And the purpose for that is, so the attack speed, but the purpose for the skeletons, why I want to run the skeletons, is not just the attack speed with your allies, but also when they die, what do? They leave corpses. So the skeletons leave corpses, the chest piece leaves corpses, you've got corpses all over the place, way more corpses than you would have just with the Wraith form chest and the pants. Having corpses all over the place is very handy because you can have them in places that you haven't even really moved to yet. With Wraith form, because the skeleton has sort of just wandered up that way and died. And per corpse, you pull out... How many lances do you pull out? Let me just tell you this because I forget. I think it's... But impaled, each corpse summons 3 lances that each deal 21,088 damage. So 3 lances per corpse, and you're shitting out... And I don't have any beneficials on. So that's 5, right? 5 corpses, 5 times 3. I don't know. I'm not very good at maths. That's a lot. Then you've got skeletons that are going to leave another corpse each time they die. And the skeleton's going to be resurrected 57% quicker. So each time they die, they're back up again. Like the skeletons are never down. You never not have skeletons that are just getting killed. So skeletons are just constantly getting killed. You're constantly moving around with Wraith form. You're constantly pulling up corpse lances. You're constantly rooting people, and I love to root people constantly. Like, I'm just constantly rooting ladies and friends, and just, you know me, bro. I'm gonna root you. That's part of the reason that I wanted to do this build, just because I like rooting. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, that's that. I think I covered it. That's all of it. I was trying to do it quickly because I already made a video once just a minute ago, and I recorded the whole fucking thing. I did it nice and slowly, and I did it without my mic on, so I was wasting my time. Now this time around, I'm sort of I'm trying to do it a little bit quicker, and I'm freestyling all of this too. So like, I don't have any kind of planned material that I write down. I'm just kind of talking about shit as I go. One thing that I will talk about, and I can't remember, I've already forgotten whether or not I talked about it to begin with. The reason that I play this build now is because it's far better in 2 scenarios. It's better to be a source of damage and a carry, and it's also very good to do support with. It's not as good as the original CC build that people are still using borrowed time with, like the spikes, the pillar, the burn on the pillar. Like, it's not as good of a supporting tool as that, but in those situations where you're supporting no one other than like your lower res guys, that just pales in comparison to this, because you can carry and you can support. So it's good. This is really good. I'm not saying that the other build's not good anymore. It's still good. Banquet 6 piece is like still a must with this. You could use 6 piece shepherds. You could use 4 piece shepherds for the crit, and 2 piece banquet. That's good as well. I've tried that out. It works still. It's nice to have the continual damage effects while you're attacking really quickly. And this is the sort of thing is you'll be attacking very quickly like all the time. And your allies will be attacking quickly all the time. It's very good for shoving. It's on attack. It's very good for defending. There's not much that it's not good for. It's just that now that there's damage reduction in the game, this build I wanted to do ages ago, or like a variant of this build, but it was just way too fragile, and Mount Bank was just too good to pass up, and you could just do a little bit more for the team with like a tank engage support kind of thing. Whereas now, because everyone's a lot tougher, you just need to be doing that little bit more with DPS to sort of wipe the targets, and still has enough CC that it's reliable and it can help and all that sort of stuff, and it has a nice little kick with the attack speed to your allies. So yeah, and like when I'm playing in the mornings, or when I'm playing in the middle of the day, or whenever I'm getting placed into higher res guys, like I'm usually the stronger guy on my team. They'll have like San or Talia or like Red Eric Lu or something, and because I'm often the whale when there's not many other whales queuing, sometimes I just got to be doing a little bit more for those lower spend guys that are like relying on a carry, and like I still have trouble beating very, very strong players, or players that like way out res me, or like there's massive res gaps. But I can hold my own, and I'm doing quite well with this. And a lot of the time I turn games with this build that I don't think I could turn with CC build. Like I can still do quite well as a DPS class, and like off support, if you feel me. So yeah, it's good. It's good. And I'm having heaps of fun. Like I'm having so much fun. Like win or lose, it's just made the game like way more fun, because I feel like I'm learning something new again. And it's been ages because I've been just sitting on the same thing, and it gets a bit stagnant. Like you're doing the same thing, and you just want to learn something new and improve a different skill. And I feel like I'm playing the old character just with like a new body kit or something. So it's sick. Give it a try if you like. Yeah, that's the video. I don't know if there's any questions, or if anyone wants to talk to me about anything, hit me up, send me a DM, and yeah, hope you liked it. If you don't, get far.